Yep.
I really hate jump scares
I just find
because
them cheap, aren't they? They just
Yeah, that's the thing. It's cheap, and once you've gotten
throwing. It's making a loud noise and throwing something in your face and making you have a physical reaction.
which we'll also
Rather
point out,
than-
then run like it loses its charm as you keep playing through the game because it's like, oh, this is there. Because I mean,
Yeah.
if you die, that jump scare doesn't have any real power anymore. It's oh, this happens, hooray!
Well,
Like, what is it? Requiem of Darkness, or it's Requiem of Eternal Darkness.
Eternal Darkness, Requiem of Sanity.
Yeah, it had tons of crazy stuff it does. Which
Well, and that's all related to like your sanity.
yeah, and it was like a lot of it was sort of like an arbitrary. You didn't know when this stuff was going to happen, which was lovely. So it built up this like sense of the unknown, which also is actually one of the things I liked about the sanity system in like Shrouded in Sanity is like during that middle part of your sanity dropping, you're not really sure what you're gonna get in the rooms because more and more enemies seem to start spawning as you get crazy, and you're not sure if it's like the nice versions of them or the less nice.
So was the sanity system in Shrouded in Sanity always intended to be there?
Yes, that was one of the first concept, and well, the name talks about it. And I always wanted to do a sanity system, but a bit different. My idea was always more about how things change around you, and that's where the Souls mechanic plays into this really well. Because in Souls games, you know, one of the core mechanics is death, and that's why it is that with every death, the world changes around you. If you pay attention to the sanity system, you know, rooms, the contents of the rooms rearrange and new stuff gets available and stuff like this. I discussed in the other stream, but I discuss it here. Originally, because of the top-down perspective, I wanted to have another sanity effect among a few others. There were a lot of sanity effects on the table, but some of them were thrown out, some of them were impossible to do. And one of the effects was that when it was still a top-down game, doors didn't always open in the same place,
which is neat.
As the sanity dropped. Now, this, you know, you can argue that, you know, that's not a very good idea because people will say, oh, I don't understand what's happening or whatnot, but that would have been the point. That was just one of the effects that I wanted to add.
Well, like, I kind of get what you were going for because, like
the abstract geometry room seems to be sort of a reference to that because it's the one of the only places in the game that doesn't logically lead into an area that's close to it.
There's two of those shortcuts that are like bending space.
Also the rec hall or whatever, the little portal in the room full of holes that is the clock.
In any game that's ever used a sanity system, it's always been somewhat intended to simulate the loss of control.
Yeah.
Like
and that's the thing. There's one thing I want to say about that is that sanity systems with numbers, a lot of people have gripes about that, and I'm one of them because if you can name how much your sanity is, I'm 20% sane, you know, that's really taking away from it.
Dark Corners of the Earth had a number system. It was like out of 100, and you could just go to your character screen and be like, okay, I'm at 45 out of 100 sanity. I need to go stare at a candle for a while, or I'm going to start seeing things.
Yeah, well, I don't mind it, to be honest. It can work. It definitely works in the tabletop RPG. You know, you can't do without it. You know, Call of Cthulhu, the actual tabletop game.
Yeah,
but
when it's in a tabletop setting, you know, it's all about numbers, anyways.
Yeah, I played some tabletop when I was little again. I was into Magic the Gathering a lot, so that's another thing I did. And yeah, Lovecraft was definitely one big influence. I just fell in love with his work. as soon as I found it, I literally binged all of his books, all of the short stories as well.
Yeah, I have his complete works. It's I love his stuff, and you know all of the contributions that people have made to kind of the concept of it. You know, it's
And the thing is, when I found it, I realized that just about every movie that I love and game have at least a little bit stolen from Lovecraft.
Yeah,
When I
yeah.
realized that, I was like, yep, I found it. I found the source of all the things I love. For example, I love
that.
the
Right.
movie The Thing.
I had
That's
a question
entirely Lovecraft.
here.
Yes.
So there's a lot of things that actually tally into the sanity system. There's death, there's buying the blessings, but there's also like killing the little moaning bags. And
Yes.
as I recall, there's also reposting. That actually does it too, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Is there
It
anything
sounds
else that
weird.
it's in?
It sounds weird, but I wanted to go more toward that. In the end, it didn't go because people went insane too fast. But I wanted to go toward the angle where brutality decreases your sanity faster.
That's
Yeah,
the
well,
vibe I got from it.
I'm at half sanity from the fight with Len. I just beat her.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
kind of the-
Okay. Congratulations. What the hell?
I mean,
That's
that was
unranked.
That's unranked, and I'm like,
God.
I spared her too. I should have murdered her just so I'd have that vitae, but no.
Come on, Jim. You're next. You have to do it too. Rank 1.
I would no.
That's kind of the vibe I got from the reposts affecting your sanity is you were being just so freaking violent
Merciless.
and brutal.
It was. I
that
got
it
more
was
of
just-
a merciless thing because the repost is specifically gotten when they're on their knees. It's not even like they're.
Yep,
still
that's an
standing
intentional
thing.
detail.
You
You're
are
just being this
coup de
monster
grace.
and impaling them.
That is another reason why you have to, so quote unquote, suck out the vitae of every corpse. I understand that it gets a bit old after a while, but I really wanted people to actually have to pause and do it. That you feel like not so much a vampire. One or two people said, "Oh, you might be a vampire," and I'm like, "No, it's not about vampiric. It's just more about literally
Monstrous.
taking the life out of something, literally sucking it out to get yourself stronger."
Yeah, I feel like if you were going for the vampire angle, you would have just said blood.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, animation-wise, Saragat does actually look like he's drinking blood when he goes to land.
Well, to be fair, the boss modes, as I said, was put in as a joke. Like, it wasn't really thought out, so that's why their animations are pretty much what they use anyway.
Which is great,
It was.
though, actually.
It looks funny. It definitely looks hilarious, but it was more of an afterthought. It's not going to be for Usurper. It's going to be a more intentional thing. So that's why Usurper will have a boss, quote unquote, boss mode as well, where you play as an alternate character or more. Okay. I'm not sure yet, but that will be more thought out. So it will have more of their own animations and whatnot.
Okay.
It's going to play different.
So, one of the things I was actually wanting to address with you, because I'd mentioned this earlier, was I just sort of wanted to know, like, what were a lot of, like, we already talked a little bit about it, was the aspects of the game that were, like, part of the initial thought, like there was the city and the factions, and that didn't make it. What other elements of the game was there that you originally had wanted to incorporate into the game, and what are things that you had wanted to put in and didn't, and what are things that you just like are in there and would have changed otherwise?
Well, I already mentioned how the sanity system was more complex. Otherwise, it looked pretty similar, as in there were 4 bosses around the 4 corners of the map, all immediately available to you from the get-go. So the progression would have been whichever way you like. And that's where the factions would have played in, because factions would have opened up shortcuts, what now the butler keys do. And that's how you would have been able to get to the bosses faster. And the factions would have also played into, because originally it was more about a civil war going around, a civil war happening at the same time, when this same sacrifice is being performed. And it was all about vying for power, so who is going to replace the king or the emperor. And you would have been able to help them, not knowing that you are the same person, that you are the actual empress.
So that was already
Oh
in
wait, you
place.
were actually
always
still
that.
the same
Yes,
character.
yes. It would have been the same, is that you are being used by Voltum without telling you that who you were, because every Weimar is the same. When they wake up, they have no memory, because that's one thing that is the same in Usurper, is that when you get revived, you don't get your memories back. You never get your memories back. That's not how it works. You completely blank. And that's why the Weimar is hated, because imagine that your dead family member is just walking around doing the dirty work of some industrialist.
Right. Okay. Well, that was definitely gonna be question. My next question when you were talking about that is, were you always was it always this character?
Yes, originally I didn't want to set the gender for it, but I realized that I literally can't really go for that with naming the character and naming the emperor or empress, because how the
Right.
language works.
Well, honestly, my first playthrough, I thought I was playing a male character until the end.
I think that's the same with a lot of people, yeah.
I intentionally made it a bit androgynous looking.
That
because
did kind of come as a surprise when I was like, "Oh, that's the queen."
Yeah.
But
yeah.
if you
Stannis
see
is a girl.
but if you see the actual clothing that she wears, it's the kind of clothing where you wouldn't be able to tell. Some people immediately assume it's a girl because long hair. Some people work like that. Because in pixel art, long hair means girl, short hair means guy. There's that logic too.
I was like Sephiroth, yeah.
But Gray has long hair and he's a guy, and the king has long hair and he's a guy. So no, it's I'm just a fan of long hair in general. I know it's not very Victorian, because the Victorian people hated long hair, but
Because
that's
of
an
lice and
alternate
others.
reality.
Although, actually, wait, didn't they also have the wigs?
Oh, that was earlier. I don't know the English word, but it's the Baroque age.
Right. Yeah, 'cause
which
they
is
had
which is
longer
earlier.
hair, but it was
Yeah,
wigs
Yeah.
because of lice.
Shrouded in Sanity is an alternate reality, and one of the products that Voltum sells got rid of lice. Okay,
Oh,
we got rid of the uncomfortable realities of the Victorian age.
How convenient.
Sounds pretty great. I'd vote for him.
But yeah, Voltum would have been one of the factions, because Usurper will cover a lot more about who Voltum is and why is he the 17th and why is everything like this and all sorts of stuff like that.
Because my entire question was like, are like the other? Oh yeah, because I'm not sure if you heard this, but are the other like 16 Waltums like all former bodies of his too?
Well, I'm not gonna spoil Usurper, but it covers that. It's one of the main parts of Waltum's story, Waltum's half of the story of Usurper, of who he is, what he is, how he got here, and why is he doing what he's doing and stuff like that. And there's a point to it all as well. It's not just writing because, oh, this character is so much fascinating or whatever. There's a point to all of it. And there's like the point that will refer back to Shrouded In Sanity of what was the point of that as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, you did a pretty good job of making it clear that Waltham was playing some sort of bigger game.
Oh yeah, because he dealt with Noah. Like, he specifically went out of his way to go and resurrect the queen by getting the location of your grave from Noah.
Yes, Noah will also appear in Usurper. Not gonna explain how and why, obviously. I don't want to spoil everything, but yeah, there were like literally as soon as Shrouded In Sanity was complete, I knew the story of what I was gonna go for, because I always overplan. That's one of my issues actually, is that's why Shrouded in Sanity went through 2 or 3 incarnations, because I overplan. I have a plan and I go off with it. Like I go all the way. I think about all the details before anything is even started. And
So-
Yeah.
that backfired in Shrouded in Sanity. It's not going to backfire on Usurper because first I built a prototype and then I went all the way again.
So